On the 7th of October last year, Hamas launched a murderous attack on Israeli civilians. Over 1,200 Israeli men, women and children were killed by Hamas terrorists. It was the largest single-day killing of Jewish civilians since the Holocaust in the Second World War. Now on the 17th of October, nearly a year later, Israeli Defense Forces killed Yahya Sinwar. Sinwar is believed to be one of the masterminds behind the October 7th attacks. So is this mission accomplished for the IDF, the killing of Yahya Sinwar? What happens to Hamas after Sinwar's death? Who is Khalid Mashal, Hamas's new leader? What is the policy that he's going to follow? Will Israel halt its offensive in Gaza now that it's killed the October 7th mastermind? And finally, what happens to the 100 or so hostages still held by Hamas? How will Israel get them back? Joining me to discuss this are Michael Kobi, former head interrogation department at the Israeli Secret Services, Lieutenant General Rameshwar Roy, former DG Infantry, and in the studio I have with me my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul. Over to my guest from Israel first. Michael, welcome to the News 9 Plus show. A great day indeed. We're just a day after Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the October 7th massacre, has been killed by the IDF. You're one of the Israeli officials who's actually interrogated Yahya Sinwar. Tell us how he came across
I'm
as a
going
person.
to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you a short story about Yahya Sinwar, what I did for the Israelis and what was my position. I was the head of the Israeli Department of Interrogation in the Secret Service, Israeli Secret Service. You know, in my position, I interrogate not only with Yahya Sinwar, we arrested
Yes.
at 1989, May 89, 520 Hamas members, include Yahya Sinwar, include the leader Ahmad Yassin, and all the staff of the officers of Hamas.
Yes.
I start interrogate with Yahya Sinwar. At the very beginning, he doesn't want to say anything about the interrogation. He
Right.
said that he preferred to be a shaheed. He wanted to be killed by the Israeli instead to speak about his, position in the Hamas.
Right.
So I told him, look, you're not going to be killed. You are going to tell me all the story, everything that you did against the Israelis, and I want to know about the Hamas, exactly what you did.
Right.
So I took him to Ahmad Yassin, the leader, to the room of the leader. Ahmad Yassin already talked everything. Ahmad Yassin gave him a fatwa, and he ordered him to say everything, to speak, and to tell us everything that he did against Israel. He told us that he was nominated by Ahmad Yassin to be the man who was taking care for Kuwat al-Majd, that the force of gallery,
Yes.
and to be the men who are taking responsibility for the education in Gaza. Yahya Sinwar, in his position, he brought hundreds of knives, rubber knives, to the kindergarten, to students 2 or 3 years old, and teach them how to kill Israeli, and to make a competition who is killing more Israelis.
Right.
That's Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar himself, by his own hand, killed 12 Palestinian, innocent people, Palestinian, that he said that they were cooperating with the Israeli, and they wasn't cooperating with us. He cut their heads. That's the reason all the Khan Yunis citizens called him the butcher from Khan Yunis.
Absolutely, the butcher
That's the
from Khan
name
Yunis.
they give him, not me, not us.
Yes, the butcher from Khan Yunis. But Michael, thanks very much for taking us through that interrogation of Yahya Sinwar. The fact that it just tells you the kind of bloodthirsty maniac he was. I mean, whoever sanctioned that October 7th attack could not have been anything less from what you just mentioned. But tell us whether this actually, the killing of Yahya Sinwar, does it mean the end of Israel's operations in Gaza, or will it continue till the 100 or so civilians who are believed to be still in Hamas's custody are returned to Israel?
It's not the end of the Hamas. It's not the end. I'm saying that now we have to destroy the ability of the Hamas fighter, the Hamas terrorists in
Yes.
Gaza.
Right.
I know that their morale is very low
Yes.
after Yahya Sinwar dead. Not only because Yahya Sinwar dead, there are 25 officers that the Israelis killed at the
Yes.
last year.
Right.
That was the headquarters of the Hamas. Of
Right.
course, after we kill Ismail Haniyeh and we
Yes.
kill Hassan Nasrallah, they, their morale is very low.
Right.
You know, even Yahya Sinwar, at the last month, he disappeared only because we killed his best friend, you know, Rawhi Mushtaha. That's the man with Muhammad Def and Yahya Sinwar and more people that was the man who prepared the 7 October massacre.
Yes.
Now you have to know that Yahya Sinwar never agreed to bring the
Oh,
hostages,
right.
never agreed to make a negotiation.
Yes.
He, you know, play with the world. He play
Yes.
with the world. He play with Israel. He play with all the leaders in the world.
Right.
He laughing at them, you know, because he never mean to bring hostages. He wanted to be survived. And
Right.
fortunately, our soldiers killed him yesterday.
Yes.
That's the best thing for the whole world. All free world must be happy
Right.
because the world must be united with Israel to fight the terrorists in Gaza and in Lebanon. You
Absolutely.
know, terror, it's not a kind of life. Terror must be, of course, destroyed from the little one to the big one.
Yes,
We have
absolutely.
to kill
Thanks,
all the
Michael.
people
Thanks
that
for telling us that.
still
I,
support
I
the
want to bring
terror.
in General Rameshwar Roy, who's listening very patiently. General Roy, welcome to the News 9 Plus show.
Thank you.
You've seen how Israel has really gone after Hamas and, of course, Hezbollah in the last couple of months, 12 months, in fact, to be precise. Do you believe that the victories that Israel has won against both Hezbollah and Hamas are going to bring in some kind of lasting peace in West Asia, or do you see this problem as being deferred for another few decades?
You see, that is what is the biggest problem. You know, we have been into this kind of a warfare
Yes.
ever since our independence. Indian
Right.
Army is concerned. Now, the issue is that any of these outfits, no matter how many of their leaders are killed,
Yes.
it only gets degraded.
Right.
Earlier speaker also had mentioned the same thing that you can't finish off these outfits
Yes.
by these killing of leaders or their infrastructure or whatever else that it depicts their existence. It only gets degraded, and over a time it builds up again and it will come back again.
Right.
So we cannot say that this issue is going to contribute to the lasting peace in any manner. Yes, of course, to the Israelis defense forces, it is a moral victory. It is a
Right.
victory which will be celebrated, which needs to be celebrated. They have been complimented time and again for the
Yes.
kind of intelligence setup that they have and the way they've been able to eliminate or they've been able to sort of target these leaders and kill them one by one. But all
Yes.
this is contributing to only their degradation.
Right.
If you go by the real achievements or biggest failure of Israel so far in last 1 year has been that they have not been able to secure the release of the hostages that
Yes.
Hamas has got. That should tell us the course of events which are to follow. Unless they are able to get the release of these hostages,
Yes.
I do not think that even a temporary success is being really achieved by the Israeli defense forces.
Right.
And that is a question
Yes.
or that is a moot point that needs to be debated. And as far as the tone and texture of this entire conflict in the West Asia is concerned,
Yes.
that has really gone to a very high level with Iran and its proxies.
Yes,
Not
joining
really
in
willing to
the
sort of
conflict.
back off.
Absolutely. General Rameshwar Roy, I'm just going to bring in my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, who's also been looking at this very closely. Aditya, the point that General Roy made, the fact that there can be no real victory unless in the short term you secure the release of those hostages. How serious is Israel about getting the release of these hostages from Hamas, and where are they really being held?
Well, Israel says, and the political leadership of Israel has been very adamant that we care for the hostages, we'll do
Yes.
whatever is possible. There's a side-by-side parallel hostage deal
Yes.
that is being negotiated for last several months, in which several Middle Eastern countries and the United States is participating. But one needs to understand that Israelis have taken a call. The
Right.
society, the government, and the IDF.
Yes.
That even though we are trying to secure and we care for our hostages, we will not compromise on our ground operations
Yes.
or overall war objectives against
Right.
Hamas as well as Hezbollah.
Absolutely.
We've seen the entire top leadership of Hamas being completely decimated.
Yes.
From Yahya Sinwar
Right.
to Mohammed Daif to
Yes.
Haniyeh. So at this moment, there's a leadership crisis
Yes.
within the Hamas. They haven't had any advantages in the recent times. Although the main area of battle right now
Yes.
is the northern frontier in Lebanon
Right,
with
against
the Hezbollah.
Yes.
But the war is far from over.
War is
There
far
a
from
call-
over. Yes,
There's a call
Aditya.
for a decisive action
Yes.
by Israel against Iran.
Right.
That remains a threat,
Yes.
possibly, to extend the regional conflict as of now.
And thanks, Aditya. I'm going to ask Michael Kobi this. Michael, the Israeli hostages who are still in Hamas's custody,
Yeah.
about 100 of them. We know how Israel values its civilians. All life in Israel is, there have been cases of 1,000 terrorists being released for just one Israeli soldier. Now, given that there are 100 civilian hostages still held by Hamas, how do you get them back?
I know that now. I know there is no negotiation now. They never agree for negotiation, the Hamas.
Yes.
We made a negotiation only with Qatar, Egypt, and America, not with the Hamas. And we don't have anything from the Hamas for the meantime.
Right.
But I think that now we have the momentum. And after we killed Yahya Sinwar, we have to act very fast to achieve the hostages as soon as possible, to bring them back to Israel, even to give prices to the people, from Gaza, because they are not in a custody, they are not in a jail, they are not in in a big place. They are in some places up and inside, up the ground and
Right.
down the ground, and we have to find them and to ask the people to give them prices, to give them money, to give us information
Yes.
about the hostages, to do it as quick as possible before they will revenge.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Michael, for highlighting this big item on Israel's agenda. The next big item after the murder of Yahya Sinwar, the assassination of Yahya Sinwar, the October 7th mastermind, is the safety of its civilians, hostages taken from Hamas. Of course, that's something that we will be looking at very closely here as we track this ongoing crisis in West Asia. Israel fighting a multi-front war against Hamas and Hezbollah. It's achieved a reprieve with the killing of Yahya Sinwar, but the civilian hostages still held by Hamas are a chief source of worry. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.